With Russia facing severe losses in Ukraine, North Korea has stepped in, sending up to 10,000 troops to support Russian forces. As these soldiers reportedly join the fight, the stakes in the war have just risen. But why is North Korea involved, and what impact will this have on the outcome of the conflict? Let's explore. North Korea's military aid to Russia, beyond troops. Russia and North Korea have had a long history of alliance, dating back to the 1950s Korean War, with the Soviet Union, and later Russia, providing economic and military assistance to North Korea. Soviet weaponry heavily influenced North Korean military concepts. In June 2024, Russia and North Korea signed a comprehensive strategic cooperation pact, which commits them to assist each other if either is threatened by a third party. This agreement resembles NATO's Article 5, which obligates members to defend each other. North Korea's involvement in the Ukraine war has extended beyond diplomatic support. Since August 2023, North Korea has supplied Russia with approximately 13,000 artillery round containers, potentially containing over 3 million munitions. The exact type of artillery rounds remains unclear, but they are likely a mix, as Russia was a major supplier of similar munitions. Additionally, Russia has provided food and agricultural resources to North Korea, helping stabilize its food prices. This assistance benefits Russia by strengthening ties and providing access to North Korean manpower, which could be valuable in the future. Despite its limited military technology and global influence, North Korea maintains a highly militarized society with an estimated 1.3 million active duty personnel, making up a significant portion of its 26 million population. North Korean men serve 8 years in the military and women serve 5, with the potential to deploy up to 7.5 million people in times of conflict. However, the country has not been involved in active combat since the mid-20th century. North Korea's military technology is considered inferior to NATO's, and the country remains a concern for NATO, particularly regarding its alliance with Russia. Over the past year, North Korea has transferred military equipment to Russia, despite its outdated technology. North Korean engineers have been sent to Russia to manage and operate these weapons. In 2023, North Korea attempted 41 missile launches, highlighting its ongoing military activities. North Korea's military spending is estimated at $4 billion annually, which is low compared to its neighbors. The country maintains antiquated equipment, including 4,000 tanks, 476 combat-capable planes, and 5,500 multiple rocket launchers, but continues to strive for a stronger military. The Ukraine war has become a testing ground for both new and old military technologies. While both Russia and Ukraine started with sophisticated weaponry, they have relied on outdated tanks and artillery as the conflict has progressed. Russia's artillery, particularly the Tu-S-19 self-propelled launcher, remains one of its strongest assets. North Korea has also increased its artillery shell production, which is the highest in the world, and its military engineers are now working alongside Russian forces on the battlefield. Meanwhile, NATO has provided Ukraine with advanced weapons, including Patriot air defense systems, M1 Abrams tanks, and F-16 fighter jets, further escalating the technological competition. The soldiers deployed from North Korea can test which weapons perform well in battle. Russia has received long-range missiles from North Korea, such as the KN-23, which has a range of 644-692 kilometers. These missile tests in real combat allow North Korea to identify failures and improve weapon accuracy, as its missiles have missed targets in half of their tests. Despite this, North Korea can learn from their performance in Ukraine, where modern anti-air defenses are effective. North Korea uses Russia as a testing ground for its weapons, particularly focusing on artillery ammunition. With export facilities running at full capacity while domestic ones operate at 30%, North Korea is working to improve its weaponry's effectiveness. However, the presence of 1,000 North Korean soldiers in Ukraine is unlikely to have a significant impact. With over 67,000 Russian soldiers incapacitated and North Korea's military forces lacking modern training and international exercises, the 10,000 North Korean soldiers are a small contribution in the larger context of the conflict. The impact on Russian forces. In September 2024, Ukraine reported over 1,250 daily Russian casualties, marking Russia's worst month and the fifth consecutive month exceeding 1,200 daily. Observers predict increasing casualties as Ukraine gains an advantage in winter conditions with better-suited weaponry and vehicles. North Korea's 1,000 troops in Russia may signal further deployments, though their effectiveness is questioned. If sent to the front, such forces could face severe losses within a week. Despite Russia's 1.3 million active troops, most are one-year conscripts with limited training, some receiving just 2 weeks before deployment. Legal restrictions bar their use abroad without significant policy changes, forcing reliance on contract soldiers and mercenaries. In 2023, Russia signed around $500,000 military contracts, many short-term or overlapping, leaving only 18,000 unoperational in 2024. Conscripts remain unusable in their first year, and attrition continues. Meanwhile, North Korea supports Russia with personnel, artillery, and missiles, seeking payment, food, and military experience in return. Ukraine's August offensive captured 1,295 square kilometers in Kursk within 3 weeks, forcing Russian troops to surrender or flee. Russia's delayed counteroffensive reclaimed only half the territory by mid-October, exposing weaknesses in its defenses and undermining Putin's nuclear threats. NATO capitalized by bolstering Ukraine's armament. Putin now leverages the Kursk assault to justify deeper ties with North Korea under a mutual defense pact, claiming Russia's territorial integrity is at risk. This allows North Korea to send troops under the treaty's terms. North Korea's support for Russia's front line. The soldiers' ultimate objective is likely to augment Russian numbers on the front line far from Russian lands. Russia can sacrifice military conscripts to defend its borders, but it may not have enough contract soldiers to keep deploying to Ukraine. North Koreans may join Russia's rising war victims. There's some logic to Putin's craziness. Russia has sustained huge losses in Ukraine, but the Ukrainian military has barely improved. Ukraine is smaller and less numerous than Russia, therefore it has fewer men to pull from. North Korea may be pleased to send more troops to Ukraine. Since the country requires years of military duty, it can quickly replace its resources. Field testing in Ukraine will increase North Korea's military status and experience, boosting morale. This can lead to North Korea sending a steady stream of soldiers to Russia to gather experience for a future conflict, likely against South Korea, or to ease the country's economic burden. The Ukrainian invasion of Kursk may give North Korea the perfect chance to practice. The Ukrainian military is scarce in occupied territory. North Korea is only required to defend Russia. Thus, both countries may argue that sending troops to Kursk is fulfilling their military treaty. By sending North Koreans to Kursk, Russia won't have to remove many contract soldiers from the Donbas front line. It will allow Russia to maintain its regional tempo and pressure the Ukrainian military to stay defensive. Possible war changes with North Korean troops. Ukraine can't invest too much on precise strikes while defending itself with long-range weapons. Precision strikes have hit supply corridors, stockpiles, and other military sites. Some Western oil refineries have been damaged or destroyed by Ukraine. Russia's military machine's fuel is limited. The country had to suspend supplying diesel and gas to most trading partners and urged Kazakhstan to supply Russia. Even more crucial, Russia won't export as much oil and gas due to a lack of domestic supplies and refining facilities. Russia loses its main cash cow if it has to refine the crude oil and gas it sends to China and India. About 45% of Russia's federal budget comes from oil and gas exports. Russia's economy will suffer if profits fall. Russia isn't getting free North Korean soldiers. North Korea receives goods and possibly money. North Korea may stop sending soldiers if Russia's economy tanks. Russia doesn't want Ukraine to keep launching long-range strikes for another reason. Moscow is already targeted by Ukraine. One of Ukraine's largest offensives since the war was the September 10th drone attack. Over 140 drones were launched across Russia to important targets. Despite Russian anti-air defenses shooting down 20 drones over Moscow, the attacks damaged a few structures and canceled aviation traffic around the capital. Moscow was mostly unaffected by the conflict. The Kremlin's media machine helped Putin pacify huge cities, sometimes violently. The conscription campaign targeted disadvantaged regions and promised to pay 3 to 4 times more than the national average. When Moscow was targeted, it didn't matter. Putin's power over Russia lasts as long as Moscow's elites are safe. Ukraine's ability to attack Moscow with long-range weaponry may eliminate that protection. People who maintain Putin in power may depose him. Russia needs North Korean soldiers now for that reason. They allow Putin to distract Ukraine for a while, giving Russia time to keep up the pressure in Donbass and decide what to do next. Are North Koreans ready to fight? Some North Korean soldiers have left Kursk and Bryansk, according to reports. Although only 18 men left the fight, it seems that they were pressured to go to Russia, possibly under threat or penalty. North Korean forces may have learned the Ukraine fight is bloodier than expected. Some are reportedly trying to defect from North Korea. Defections just days after Russia saw North Korean soldiers in the military show that Russia can't fully utilize them. Start with the likely lack of military training. Second, North Korean soldiers may not speak Russian, creating a large language barrier. This lack of coordination between Russian and North Korean troops suggests Ukraine won't have trouble handling the initial 1,000 soldiers. They may not even make it to Ukraine's front line and fall apart faster than Russian conscripts. What about subsequent batches? Russia will likely use North Korean soldiers to preserve face by throwing something other than its men into the meat grinder. Putin won't care that North Korean troops aren't as effective as the Russian military. They'd just be there to protect Russia's more experienced forces or sponge up bullets in hopes Ukraine is drying up. North Korea could be the impetus for Russia to extend the war for years, which is dangerous for Ukraine for one reason. Former President Donald Trump is favored to win the November U.S. presidential election. Trump has been explicit about wanting a deeper connection with Russia than Joe Biden did. He also claims that NATO isn't giving the U.S. as much as it's giving. Thank you for watching this video. If you found the content helpful, please remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest news and analyses. Your support is the motivation for us to continue providing quality content. See you in the next video.